what's up everyone? Today we dive into constraints in animation. You know the thing that's perfect for when you want your character to grab an object, but you can't quite get it right? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I show you the best solution and workflows to make it happen. So let's jump right in. Today we're getting some help from the legendary and mighty Popeye. I had an absolute blast creating his control ring and animating him a bit. Of course, you can follow along using any character you like. Just make sure it has its own control rig, as that makes things much easier. To get started, place your character in the scene, create a sequencer, and add the character to it, including its control rig track. Once that's set up, select any control and you'll be able to automatically switch to animation editor mode. Now, let's set the stage. Imagine Popeye wants to grab his iconic spinach can, show down on his favorite food, and then place the can back on the table. First, in the sequencer, add the prop you want to constrain, in this case, the spinach can. Everything we're doing here will be managed directly in the sequencer. Next, let's talk about one of the workflows you can use here. The simplest and most direct option is right there in the constraints menu. By clicking the plus icon, you'll see several types of constraints with plenty of parameters to tweak, ranging from simple transform constraints for translation or rotation to full parent constraint for more complex scenarios. For this example, we'll be using a parent constraint. Before applying the constraints, it's best to block out the initial animation where Popeye grabs the can. This warp pass helps set the timing and flow, and you can fine-tune it later. Now, let's get into the details. This is where we want our can to be constrained by our character, and by his hand to be more precise. So after placing your cursor correctly and selecting the can, head back to the constraint menu and choose Parent Constraint. And here's a tip. Notice the three dots next to the parent constraint option. Clicking on them lets you refine the constraint settings. For example, you can decide whether to maintain the offsets of the parented object or even filter specific transform axes for more precision. For this example, we'll stick with the default values. Once you click on Parents, you can now pick an object, or in this case, a control. For our setup, this will be the hand eye key control. You notice that a new tab appears in the menu for the newly created constraints, along with the keyframe added to the transform track of our prop. If you expand this track, you'll see a subtrack named Constraints. Don't hesitate to expand it further to get a clearer view of the constraint here. Now, when we play the animation from the beginning, you'll see that the constraint kicks in exactly where we planned. That's success, guys. Next, let's refine everything and create the final part where Popeye places the empty can back on the table. Here's something cool. Even after setting up the parent and child constraint, you can continue to manipulate and animate both objects freely. The dynamic offset remains manageable and intuitive. And yes, as you can see, I'm using a skeletal mesh for the can with a little rig and even a control rig. And everything is working perfectly. Look how nice and easy the animation workflow can be. That's so cool, guys. When it's time to release the constraint, it couldn't be simpler. Move your cursor to the right spot. Then select the prop again, and return to the constraint menu. Just click on the key icon to release the constraints and voila! You'll see a bar that visually represents the length of the constraints, which you can adjust as needed. Once the constraint is released, the animation continues and the prop is no longer bound. Easy, right? Now, let's check out some additional features here. The constraint menu has a drop-down that lets you view constraints in different ways. Based on your sequencer selection, for example, all constraints in the sequencer, constraints across the entire level, or even single constraints at once. This is handy for organizing complex animations, and if needed, you can reorganize the order of constraints using the arrow icons, or even bake all constraint data directly into your animation. And that's the first approach to using constraints. Now let me show you another lesser-known method, the snapper tool. This tool is awesome. For example, imagine Popeye needs to grab the spinach can mid-air and immediately toss it. Instead of animating the hand control first, we can animate the can and then parent the control to it afterward. Let's start by giving some life to our spinach can. Once we have a rough blockout, let's position Popeye's hand near the spinach can. Next, head to the snapper tool located at the top of the interface. In the snapper tool window, we'll define the child actor, Popeye's hand here, and the parent actor, the can. You can also set the time range for the snap, either manually or by using the external button here that adjusts based on your timeline cursor.
Now let's align the timeline so Popeye's hand contacts the can at the right moment and releases it when he tosses it away. For better results, let's tweak some parameters. The keep offset here will ensure that the relative positioning between the hand and the can remains intact. Back key settings here, set these to all frames to ensure smooth transitions. Once everything's set, validate and watch as Popeye's hand perfectly follows the can during the grab and throw sequence. The constraint stops right when it's chilled and all with just a few clicks. Although this process is baked, you can further refine it using the animation layer system introduced in Unreal Engine 5.5. I've covered this in detail in another tutorial, so be sure to check that out. With just these two solutions, you can manage a wide variety of constraints directly in the sequencer.
Are there other solutions?
Absolutely, another approach is even more flexible and works great in blueprints or in-game sockets.
Here's how they work. Open the skeletal mesh asset of your character. Right-click on any bone and choose Create Socket. A socket is essentially an anchor point with its own position, rotation, and scale configured within the skeletal mesh asset. Once created, the socket will be parented to the bone where you added it. For example here, let's have some smoke coming out of Popeye's iconic pipe. Since the pipe here moves with his head, we'll create a socket on the head bone. Rename the sockets. I recommend doing this for easy organization. Then right-click on it and choose Add Preview Asset. This allows you to visualize the position, rotation, and scale of the prop directly in the viewports. And now, grab the smoke asset, attach it to the socket, and adjust its placement. Now that everything's in place, let's move to a new sequencer. Add your character and the smoke assets, or any other prop you're using for the socket. To attach the prop to the socket, select the prop, click on the plus icon here, and navigate to the Attach menu. Choose your character, and you'll see a list of all the bones and sockets you've created for them. Simply pick the corresponding one here. Before moving forward, don't forget to reset the prop's transform in its details panel to match the parent's transform. This ensures proper alignment. Once that's done, try moving or rotating the parent bone via the matching control here of the head. And now your prop will follow perfectly. These are some of the best and easiest solutions to work with constraints in Unreal Engine.
And that's it for today, guys. I hope you learned something new and that we will improve your constraints animation workflow. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts and comments with the community in the comment section. It will help everyone. See you next week for a new video. Ciao!